Hey guys, Brad coming at you here. I got a little mail day, and then we're going to talk about stuff I rarely get involved in, but I think stuff needs clarification and a little perspective, maybe for me. Maybe it's time. So first off, we're going to get into the pickups. We got Fat Guy Mojo here, a guy that this season is highly dependent on his play, in my opinion. He was drafted in 2020 with Tua. And we drafted him to play left tackle. Turnstile did not work. He moved into left guard, not as atrocious, but very up and down. This year, we're moving him to right tackle. And so far in camp, and in the first preseason game, the talk from the beat writers, and from what I can tell, he looks a little better and more confident. But I wanted to get a rookie card of this guy. So it's from 2020 Select, which is always a nice product, right? And it's the tie-dye version, 25 of 25. Here, let me take it out of this. What am I doing? I feel like I'm a noob. So no, don't go out and invest in this guy. But it's a pretty card, and it's got etching on it. Austin Jackson tie-dye. So, pretty. 25 of 25. So I just wanted a good rookie of him, just in case he is good. And then if he's not, I'll have a good story to tell about how we wasted the 18th pick in the 2020 draft. And unfortunately, I have a lot of those stories over the last 36 years of my life. But either way, there you go. So, like I said, I think it's very important that he is a functional right tackle all year. If not, you're going to see all those weapons they signed and all this whole new offense. That offensive line can change things real quick. All seen it if anyone's watched football a long time. That's all it takes. You get a bad offensive line, all of a sudden all the talent around you just doesn't look as good. So hopefully he has a good year. Now on to the next guy that I'm very hopeful for and had a good rookie season. I told you I love their last year's draft class with Waddle, Holland, and Phillips. I love all three of them. I think they're all solid NFL players at worst, you know. I wanted to get another nice auto of this guy. I think I have one from Upper Deck Black, I believe. I wanted to get one from Contenders here. And this is of our outside linebacker / defensive end, Jalen Phillips, from UCLA and Miami. The only reason why we got him, I think it was the 18th pick, was because of concussion problems. He had, I want to say he had 3 of them in a 2-year span. But he hasn't had any since he got in the league. So we're hoping it's one of those, hey, that was a fluky thing. But we've seen over the years where that has not been a fluky thing. So, we've had problems with migraines or concussions and it's ended people's careers. So hopefully that doesn't pop up. So this is just a base Contenders. But I need to get one of Javon Holland as well. Because like I said, I think all 3 of them, of course, barring injury, going to be solid pros at worst. So I look for him to have double-digit sacks this year if he plays a whole season. So I think he had 8.5 last year in his rookie years, and that was really in half a season where he got major playing time. Those were my 2 pickups. Now, because it seems to be the hot thing all of a sudden, and usually I don't always do the hot thing, but I'm going to give examples and talk about it. Now the talk is, what is it? It's investors, flippers, those type of people versus collectors now? That's how they're trying to portray it? So I'm going to speak for collectors on this. And people who have been on this platform for some as far back as like 2006. Yes, believe it or not, card videos did not start in 2018, 2019. That is true. So let's clarify something. Everybody takes it as all the collectors hate the flippers and investors. That is incorrect. Here's what we hate. We have no problem with you saying, hey, we think this is a good investment. If you have a background in knowledge to have that opinion. So, for instance, I'm up here and I'm going to give you vintage baseball advice. Well, any of you that know me would know that's complete BS. Have you ever seen a vintage baseball card on this channel? Uh, no. So if I was all of a sudden telling you to buy 51 Bowman Manals instead of 52 Topps Manals, or other vintage cards instead of this one, that would be completely ignorant, right? And possibly lead you down a wrong path to lose a bunch of money in the future. And what happens when you get burnt? And this is what I believe John Mangini brought up. You get burnt, what's going to happen? You're going to leave. And as much as we say, you'll joke about, oh, we don't care if those people leave. You want as many people in this hobby as possible, right? But we just want it on the up and up. So our problem is not with investors. It's not giving investment advice. So I'll give you another example of good. Like, for instance, I had a guy hit me up a month ago or so asking me young wide receivers, the rookie class coming up, to buy as a quick flip if I were to buy some. And I was like, okay, I don't usually give investment advice, but this is something I know about, right? We're talking football now, right? So I was like, all right. He's like, I want wide receivers. He goes, it's a passing league. I was like, that's smart. He says, and quarterbacks are obviously already expensive. I was like, absolutely. So he's like, what two wide receivers do you want? And I told him Jalen Tolbert and George Pickens. And you'd say, why you chose those guys? Why, guys? I said, Jalen Tolbert. Opportunity plays for Cowboys. He's going to get hype in the preseason. George Pickens, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, going to get playing time, therefore going to get hype on the two most famous franchises there is in football, the Cowboys and the Steelers. Now this is not I'm not now do not go out now and buy these guys because it's too late when you go look at their prices. What happened this week? George Pickens all of a sudden is all over ESPN, right? So fortunately I was right about both of those guys. If you look what they sell for, you know, he said he made some money because he just thanked me this week. So, but I gave that advice out of experience, knowing the market, knowing the players themselves, knowing how collectors in that realm think, and voila. So that would be fine. So if you are a vintage expert, vintage baseball card expert, and you gave advice saying, invest in this, and it came from a place that is knowledgeable, from past experience, then that's fine. We have zero problem with that as collectors. We like that. You can even make money while doing it. And we have zero problem with that. However, it's when you don't know what you're talking about, and then you lead collectors astray, like collecting PSA 10 base cards and telling people to invest in them. When I can tell you 98% of all collectors were sitting here saying, don't do that, guys. And you saw what happened because it makes no logical sense, but that's to us who have all this experience. The new guys coming in don't have what we think is common sense because they have no experience with that. So that was a guy leading them astray or being just because he was ignorant or it was on purpose. Either way, it's not good. Okay? So that's what we have a problem. Because of almost all sold cards. Sometimes we sell cards to get into bigger cards. We have no problem with that. We have no problem with you giving investment advice. But like I said, it's got to come from a place where you have knowledge of this. Here are the reasons why. And sometimes you're going to be wrong, but that's fine. It's when the other problem we have are the Gary V's of the world, who everybody loves Gary V, classic pump and dumper. Has been his whole life. Go look at anything he's involved in. He pumps it up, gets it big, sells whatever he's got. See you later. Right? Move on to the next thing. And that's what he does. And he's successful at it. And there's no problem with that. But do I want him to be part of this hobby? Heck no. And I'm going to call him out on it. All right? When people are always like, casual people ask me, they know it's like, oh, I heard Gary V's doing it. I was like, that guy's a piece of junk. I don't care what anybody says. Okay? He's a pump and dumper. That's what he does. He pumps stuff up. I'm going to pump X up because I bought a bunch of it. We're going to sell it off. And voila, then we're going to leave you holding the bag. Suckers. That's what they do. That's what we have a problem with. And that's just one guy as an example. He isn't the only person to pump and dump, as we see. Another thing, you remember when we were told to collect Sam Darnold? Another guy. Anybody with two eyes that have watched Sam Darnold from college through his first years in the pro, know that's not a guy you invest in. Okay? It's plain and simple. But you don't watch the games. It just sounded good. Hey, this guy is going to be a starter again. That was what your logic was. You never even seen the guy play, obviously, or you would not tell people to invest in him unless you bought 100 cards of him and you were pumping it up so you could dump it off, right? That's who we have a problem with. We have no problem with flippers, investors who do it on the up and up and actually do it with knowledge, okay? It's the people that are either ignorant and don't know anything or are intentionally pumping something up just so they can dump it off. Because as Mangini pointed out, you are hurting future collectors when that happens. So we have zero problem. I'm going to clarify this for everyone because I know collectors been on here forever. People have been on here way longer than I've been on here, and I've been on here 10 plus years. Is we just want you to not be disingenuous. If you have an expertise, it could be in racing, it could be in soccer, it could be in, share that. We love that. You can even make money by doing it. But do it from your knowledge and past experience. And we have no problem with it. But don't just all of a sudden, hey, you know what? I think we should all buy Christian Pulisic. Why? I saw him on TV a few times, and he's American. And eventually, America's got to be good at soccer, so let's pump him up. If that's your reasoning, get out of here. Okay? But like me with the wide receiver thing, it was just an example that has happened recently that came from experience, knowledge. There you go. And it happened to be right. You're not always going to be right either. You realize that. But there you go. There's just my little clarification and a few examples of the collector versus, it's not collector versus investor. It's basically collector versus disingenuous ignorance and pump and dumpers is what ticks us off. It's not that you sell cards. All of us almost sell cards. Or trade a bunch of stuff to move into a bigger card or whatever. We have zero problem with that. Just do it genuinely. And you can even make money off of it, and we're okay with it. Just be on the up and up. That's all we ask. Because our problem is if you're not, you're going to hurt card collectors, you're going to hurt the hobby in the long run, and you're going to let people leave. Because you see all these kids in Pelican cases now that look up to a lot of these guys. If you give them a bunch of ignorant, bad advice, you're going to see those guys in 3 years? Most likely not. So there you go. There's a little clarification. It's stuff that's all been said, but I'm just trying to put it in a little more example and maybe, because some people misconstrue what others say. So that's what it is. So that's all I got. As always, appreciate you watching still over all these years. Again, we don't get as much views as we want to, so some people have left. And just remember, you get out what you put into it. So you put a lot into it, you're going to get a lot out of it and have a good time. So that's my advice for all you YouTube guys who maybe you're getting discouraged, don't like where the hobby is going. It's still your hobby. Have fun, meet new people, comment on other people's channels. They'll find your channel, and all of a sudden you'll be like, man, I'm having a good time again. Just saying. So that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.